Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It is Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at 8 a.m. Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and to assist each of you in being successful. So today we're going to talk about the QuickCash Program. If all's going well, I'm sharing my screen with you, and you see the agenda, QuickCash. I wanted to thank those of you that came into town last night. We had a number of our leaders as well as our legal counsel. We got together at 6:30 last evening and worked on this, and we're excited to roll it out today. We think it fits a void or a gap in our model to be able to help more people. So let's talk about the QuickCash Program. The quick introduction of the QuickCash Program is it's designed to quickly create assets, liability, and cash for entrepreneurs seeking to improve their financials. As we tend to do, we want to step back and make sure we understand what you and I do, who we help, then we'll dig into the topic of the day, which again is QuickCash. So it's important to know what it is that you and I do. You and I are technical advisors, and what you and I do is we help individuals and small businesses improve their credibility to qualify for financing, whether it be business loans, auto financing, mortgages, etc. We use our credit and funding program, excuse me, to help anyone access a minimum of $100,000, and we accomplish this by improving their 3 C's, their credit, their collateral, and their capacity. Very much needed, not always understood in the marketplace, so financial literacy plays an important role, but what you and I do is exactly what is needed. Obviously, the program is proven, legal, and effective, and again, we had legal counsel there sitting in the 2-hour or so meeting last night, reviewing every element of what we do. Our program is proven, legal, and effective, and you'd really have to be financially illiterate to question the model. In terms of our target audience, we like to work with imperfect people. We work with people with money problems, people with credit problems, people with collateral problems, and we help them become credible enough on paper to qualify for a minimum of $100,000 of funding. So that's the background. We're going to get into the QuickCash, but before I do that, anyone have questions on what it is that you and I do as technical advisors, and or does anyone have questions on our target audience? Are we good so far? Okay, so let's roll forward. Let me scroll it on up. So we're going to go now through the QuickCash Program. We're going to introduce it, we're going to explain it, and of course, we're going to answer your questions. You'll just put your questions into the Q&A box of Zoom. It's kind of like a chat box. All right, so the QuickCash Program, which was approved just last night. And again, thank you for those of you that came into town for the evening meeting we had to finalize this. The QuickCash Program was launched to provide entrepreneurs 3 benefits with ease and expediency. Who doesn't like easy? Who doesn't like fast? So what we're going to do with the QuickCash is help improve their balance sheet, improve liquidity, and improve cash flow. 3 pretty good benefits, all ties to the 3 C's, right, that we've talked about. Who is this designed for? Who do we help with the QuickCash? Now, these are going to typically be clients that are enrolled in the credit and funding program. However, someone could do this as standalone, but in general, this will organically be identified as a need for our clients that are already in the credit and funding program. But who is it designed for? It's designed for 2 types of people. People who don't yet qualify for a loan. I promise you, you're going to run into clients or prospective clients that need money, but they just don't qualify yet. They just don't qualify yet. Now, we can get them in the credit and funding program. We can get them from here to there, get them from where they're at to where they need to be. But you will have some people that come in and they need money quickly, but they don't qualify yet. Secondly, we have some people that just don't want to borrow money. They want money, but they don't want to borrow it. So we have to look for another way to deliver the cash to them. So that is our target audience of the QuickCash program. Now let's go through the process. Very simple, 3 steps. So we need to figure out that someone wants to participate in the QuickCash program. Normally they would just email us. Or if we're mentoring them, working with them as a credit and funding client, we'll come to that recognition of, okay, here's someone that needs money, but doesn't yet qualify for a loan and or doesn't want to borrow money. Step 2, within 24 hours, within 1 business day of enrolling in the QuickCash program, we will transfer to them, and you see it in bold and italics, we will transfer to them $10,000 in accounts receivables for immediate financial improvement. So how long does it take for them to see results? 24 hours. And then we're going to turn around and help them in getting that posted, those assets posted to their financials, and helping them liquidate the assets to cash. Because there's really 2 ways for a business to grow financially. One is to make sales and then collect off the sales sold. The other is to essentially buy sales and then collect off of the sales sold. And so that's what we're doing is, instead of the business, let's say you have a business and they need a large amount of capital to start cash flowing. They don't have a large amount of capital yet, so they have no cash flow. So what we can do is supplement that, substitute that with what we would call inorganic income. Not organic income, not income generated from their core services, but we're literally transferring receivables, and then we collect those receivables, and it looks just the same on the financials. Ethical, legal, very effective. You might ask, well, does this cost the client anything? And of course, you and I are financially astute enough to know that there is no free lunch. So yes, the client's going to pay a title transfer fee. We need that to transfer over the $10,000 of accounts receivables. So that allows us to transfer ownership of that asset from us to them. Pretty good deal, right? They spend $99 for the title transfer fee, and they get $10,000 in return. Let's do that math again. They spend $99.99 for the title transfer fee. What do they get? $10,000, right? No question, it's a great deal. But that's not the entire picture, right? We need to be transparent. We need to understand how this model is built. There is a 75-25 split. So, we're not a charity, right? If we just wanted to give away $10,000 of assets, there would be no difficulty in doing that. That wouldn't make much sense. So what we do is we transfer the $10,000, don't charge anything up front, granted, other than the title transfer fee, which is necessary for the documentation. Then what we're doing is a 75-25 split. Client retains 75%, which is obviously $7,500, and then the cost of that, which is not paid up front, is $2,500. So ultimately, in the beginning, they're not paying anything for it other than the title transfer fee. In the end, they are keeping 75% of it. Very, very fair deal. Now, you might ask, what's in it for you? Obviously, you can get into this income flow if you want. You can buy assets, you can resell the assets and make the markup, just as we've done in the past. So the bottom line is, in general, of course, our credit and funding program, we assist participants in improving their 3 C's, credit, collateral, and capacity, and creating a loan package so they qualify for at least $100,000 in funding. You can earn a great income as well. But today's topic is on the QuickCash. So it's crucial that you understand what the QuickCash is. What is it? It's designed to help entrepreneurs with 3 benefits: with ease and expediency, improving their balance sheet, improving liquidity, improving their cash flow. That's what it is. Who's it for? It's for people that don't yet qualify for a loan. Some of you, quite frankly, that are on this webinar right now, based upon your conversations with us, you need cash, you need funding, but you don't qualify yet. Well, this could be for you, and it's going to be for a lot of people. So it's for those people that don't yet qualify for a loan, and or those that just don't want to take on debt. They don't want to borrow money. It's interesting, you know, we announced yesterday that we're going to start doing the funding review meetings, and so that's a way that we can help you close more prospects. And we've got a whole bunch of them scheduled today, but we had just a couple yesterday as we were just launching it. And it's interesting, you know, people will ask, well, if I borrow 100,000, do I have to pay it back? Well, yeah, that's what debt is. And then they'll ask questions like, well, what's the payment going to be? And then sometimes they're kind of shocked with, oh my gosh, the payment's going to be that much. You know, $100,000 paid back over 120 months is $833 a month on principal. And so I have some people say, oh my gosh, I have to pay $833 a month for 10 years. Well, yeah, it's simple math, right? $100,000 divided by 10 years, 120 months. Some people don't want that. Some people do not want to borrow money. They need funding to start or grow a business, but they do not want to borrow money. This is a great substitute. This is not debt. This is not money that has to be paid back over 10 years with a bunch of interest. So again, we've covered the process, very simple 3 steps. We've talked about the investment. Is it free? It is absolutely not free. If they want free, they need to probably go down to the Salvation Army and ask for a blanket and food. That's where you might get free. What you and I do is offer economic solutions to their economic problems. So they're going to pay a title transfer fee so we can legally and ethically transfer the receivables. Our attorney, Bob, last night felt very strongly that this needed to be there. And then secondly, we split the proceeds 75-25. Who has questions, comments, concerns on the QuickCash program? So Alfred's asking, is this a different website or different web page? No, Alfred, it's not. This is just a resource that we can make available to clients that are going through the credit and funding program. And if we see they have a problem, in other words, they need money now, but they don't qualify yet, or they need money, but they don't want to borrow it, then this is a potential solution. So it's a resource within the credit and funding program. But to Alfred's follow-up question, yes, if someone wants to come in just directly and just do the QuickCash and not do the full credit and funding program, absolutely, they could do that. Thank you, Alfred, for those 2 questions. Who else has questions on QuickCash? Who else has questions on QuickCash? Pretty straightforward. It follows the model that we have had, that we've launched with great success, of the collateral support program, but that is bigger and broader and more inclusive. This is just for someone that just says, you know, man, I need help with some money now. I need some money now, but you know what? I don't qualify for funding yet, or I don't want to borrow money. And again, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not pulling your string. You'll have people that want funding, but they don't want to pay it back. They don't want debt. They don't want to borrow it. This is a different way. Essentially, what they're doing is they're acquiring sales, right? So let's use 2 examples, just 2 scenarios. You and I start a lawn care business. Great. Well, we need clients. And so either you and I can go out knocking on doors and getting people that want us to come cut their yards and do yard work, or we could acquire a book of business. And so that is someone else has already gone out, sold the clients, provided the service. Now we're able to just collect the money from what the work someone else did. That's what we're doing here, is with QuickCash, instead of waiting for the client to get funded, to go generate clients, to make money, we're essentially purchasing receivables ready for them to collect. That has a 3-fold benefit. Immediately improves their balance sheet, immediately improves their liquidity, because liquidity is measured as cash plus cash equivalents, and receivable is the cash equivalent, and then it improves their cash flow. So would it be better for you and I to go out and sell our own lawn care clients than buy someone else's book of business? Yeah, probably. But I'm telling you, you're going to run into some clients that aren't in that position. Maybe they can't afford to buy the push mower yet. What the push mower is $99 down at Home Depot. They're like, I want to start a lawn care business, but I can't afford the $99 to buy the push mower. All right, well, plus the oil and the gas and insurance and so forth to go provide the services. So if they don't have that, then what we can do is we can get them a book of receivables, and it essentially provides the same thing to them. It's providing them the balance sheet improvement, the liquidity, and the cash flow. Right. In business school, what you and I learned was the concept of buy or build. For each thing, we have to buy or build. If you and I are Elon Musk and we're building Teslas and we need the raw materials for building the batteries, which are a significant portion of the cost and the infrastructure of an electronic vehicle, an EV, we can either go buy those materials or we can acquire the mines, the lithium mines, or however that works, and create it ourselves. So this is no different. It's a buy or build scenario. Dan asked, how many times can they do it? There's no limit. I mean, if they wanted $1 million of receivables, we could do it right now. I've told you all, and I could pull the documents out in a stack on my desk. The largest transaction that we've done for QuickCash before it was labeled as such was $3 million. And we sold that to a large law firm in Austin, Texas, because they needed a rapid injection on their balance sheet. So, I mean, it's real. There's no question about that. Dan's question was much simpler. How many times can they do it? As often as they want. And so in other words, it's going to be in $10,000 increments, but if they want to do it once or twice or 10 times or 100 times, but we have to do the title transfer fee. Again, for those of you that were in the meeting, it became a little bit combative because Bob's the attorney and he looks at everything from a risk management perspective, and you and I look at it more from an opportunity. So there's this conflict sometimes, but he would not relinquish. We have to collect the title transfer fee to show ownership transfer. Otherwise, the argument could be that those assets really haven't transferred over into the client's name. So we definitely need that. We can push this 25% down the road. We can kick that can, as he likes to use the term, down the road, but we have to have the title transfer. All right, thank you, Dan, for that. And then Carlos. All right, so Carlos is asking about liquidation. That's great. Yeah, so Carlos's question is wrong, but it's my fault, not his. So he understands that the receivables will increase cash flow, so he's right about that. What he's inferring is that we're going to go sell these receivables again. No, that's like a never-ending chain. I don't know how we could sustain that. But no, what we're going to do is collect the money. So let's use the analogy again. So Carlos, you and I start a lawn care company, and we go buy a book of business from Dan. Dan's already got a lawn care company going, right? And he's got $10,000 of receivables for yards he's already cut. And so, Carlos, you and I go to Dan and say, Dan, you know what? How about we take that book of business away from you? So we'll pay you pennies on the dollar, but we want that book of business. And if Dan decides that's a good decision, great. So, Carlos, now you and I have that book of business. We didn't actually go cut those yards. We're not lying. Dan did it, right? Dan sold the client. Dan went and cut the yard, weed eated the edges, trimmed the sidewalk border. He mulched the yard. Dan did all the work, right? We've outsourced the work to Dan, but you and I are getting the receivables, and now we're going to collect from the clients. So Carlos thought we're turning around and selling this, but that's not the case. We're collecting the money. We're getting Dan's receivables and we're collecting it instead of Dan collecting it. We own the receivables. Dan's not doing us a favor. Dan's transferring the title of the assets of the receivables to us. We have a documented title transfer fee. We have all the written documentation to support it. Now those lawn care companies of Dan owes us. They don't owe Dan anymore. Make sense, Carlos? And then Carlos asked, do we help liquidate the assets? So it's interesting you asked that. Here's the answer. Of course, yes. All right, so to wrap it up as we end today's call a bit early. So today we launched the QuickCash Program. It's designed to quickly create assets, liquidity, and cash for entrepreneurs who are seeking to improve their financials. This is a very important instrument for some of the clients you're going to run into. And if you've not been at this long, maybe this sounds abstract, but for any of us that have been out doing this, what you'll know is you'll run into people that need money now. They need what? Quick cash. They need money now. But the problem is they don't yet qualify for a loan, and or they don't want to take on debt. They've listened to Dave Ramsey and say, oh, no, debt's bad. I don't want to have to pay interest charges and all of that. So for whatever reason of these two combinations, there's going to be some people you run into, I promise you, if you're active, that need quick cash. They need money, they need funding, but they don't yet qualify most often, or they're just philosophically opposed to borrowing money. This is a great resource for them. And again, can you monetize it? Absolutely. It's no different than we've talked about before. You can acquire the assets and then you can turn around and facilitate the transaction if you want. We have Dan on here this morning. One of Dan's clients had a call with just this morning at 7 a.m. Central. We're working with a client on their capital raise, collateral shortfall. Client signed up for the collateral. We have already transferred the ownership over. He's paying today. And so this is actively in place. It's legal, it's ethical, it's effective. Now you know how it works. Any other questions that anyone has before we wrap up the call today? All right, Alfred's asking about the split, and you're absolutely correct, Alfred. So the split is 75-25. Now, a pessimist, and Alfred's not playing the role of a pessimist, but a pessimist could say, well, if it's the client's assets, why are they only getting 75%? Well, because we freaking transferred it to them for free, right? They didn't pay for it. We didn't sell it to them. They didn't pay anything up front. I know that they had the title transfer fee, but we have to have that legally. But they didn't pay for this up front. It's too good to be true. And again, this isn't Alfred's point, but just for everyone's purpose, it'd be too good to be true to think, oh, 1 million people could come to us and just ask for free receivables. Yeah, that's a really good transaction. Hell no, that's terrible. So instead, we do what's very fair, a 75-25 split. Can't beat it. All right, well, thanks, everyone. Storm is dying down here. We'll be at it all day. Let us know if there's anything that we can help you with, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.